Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is very well. We are approaching the holy holiday of Hanukkah, which we're all very excited for. How do we get ready for Hanukkah? How do we get in the Hanukkah mindset? What do we do? Well, an interesting and an important way to get involved and get ready for Hanukkah is to learn about Hanukkah. Whether it's learning about the story of Hanukkah, or the secrets inside the story of Hanukkah, the deep secrets within it, or the laws of observing Hanukkah, the mitzvahs, what positive deeds we can do during Hanukkah, and to learn the laws of how to perform them. These are all important ways to get ready for the holy day of Hanukkah, the holy 8 days of Hanukkah. So let's give a little history. Hanukkah is a holiday remembering the holy miracles that happened when the Jewish people were under the reign of Antiochus, the Greek king, the Greek emperor, the Syrian Greek emperor. And what happened was Antiochus, he had a desire to take away the Jewish people's connection to Hashem. What's interesting is Antiochus did not want to kill all the Jewish people like Haman. He also did not want to stop them from learning Torah completely. He didn't want them to stop being intellectual. He was very interested in intellect. But he was interested, what did he want to take them away from? He wanted to separate them from Hashem. He wanted to separate them from doing mitzvahs. And that defines this struggle that we had against Antiochus, defines who we are as Jewish people. Because really we have to understand that Antiochus was not trying to stop us from learning Torah and being intelligent and learning about deep concepts and pushing ourselves intellectually. He was actually interested in that. But what Antiochus wanted to separate us from was the connection to Hashem. Why do you have to do it for Hashem? The Torah is good. It's good to learn. It's good to be intellectual. But why do you have to do mitzvahs? Why do you have to do things that are beyond logic? Why do you have to give yourself surrender to Hashem? And that really defines us as people. Because as great as the intellect in the Torah is, as great as it is to push yourself mentally and to understand deep concepts, as exciting as that is, that's not the main purpose. That's just one part of the mission. The main purpose is to connect to the one above, to follow Hashem's will, to carry out the will of the divine. That is the main mission. And if we become intelligent along the way, that's great. The Torah is filled with the wisdom of God. It's a very extremely profound and intellectual document, the Torah. It's not just a document, an intellectual blueprint of reality. It's very intellectual, very deep. It can expand your consciousness and your intelligence. But we're not just serving Hashem to become smarter. We're serving Hashem because we're interested, because that's who we are. This is what He wants. That's the deepest level, because it makes Him happy. And that is deeper than any intellectual concept. And we'll explain to you why. Because as great as intellect is, as great as it is to learn and become smarter, we'll never fully grasp Hashem. That is why the highest level of connecting to God is to do things beyond, to surrender to God beyond logic. When you start to understand, when you understand the fact that you can't understand Hashem, now you're actually starting to understand Hashem. Because in Hasidus we learn that there's this concept called negative understanding. Hasaga shlili, which means you can understand something by understanding what you don't understand. So we learn leis machshava tfesa beklal. No thought can grasp Hashem. Hashem is beyond grasp of a thought. So when we grasp the fact that we can't grasp Hashem, we're starting to actually grasp Him, so to speak. Because now we're understanding His nature, that He's beyond understanding. So now we're sort of tapping into a deeper level of awareness of God, which is a very beautiful thing. So what happened was, there were multiple miracles that happened in the holy day of Hanukkah, holy holiday of Hanukkah. What happened was, there were two main miracles. One was that the Jewish people revolted against the Greeks, and we destroyed them in the war. We beat them. We were a small little bandit of rebels against them. We were a small group of people, and yet we overpowered and we destroyed and liberated ourselves from the mightiest army in the world. So that itself is a massive miracle. It is a miracle that is more hidden within nature, because it's a war, meaning it's possible that even the smaller army will win. It's a miracle 100%, but it was more hidden within the nature. It was more of a enclosed miracle. Then there's the next miracle where we only found enough. We couldn't find, all of the oil was contaminated by the Greeks. We couldn't find any of the oil. We couldn't find any oil to light the menorah, to light the holy candelabra in the temple, the Beis Hamikdash. We couldn't find any oil. Finally, we found just enough oil for one day, and the miraculous event that it burned for 8 days straight. And that is the miracle that's beyond nature. These also represent two levels of our service of God. We have the level of service where we serve God within nature, within our intellect, within grasp. That is when we learn Torah, we try to learn the laws. We can actually grasp certain concepts. This is forbidden. This is permitted. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to perform this activity. On Shabbos, you are commanded to do this. So you grasp what you have to do. Then there's the level of serving God that is beyond grasp. And this is why actually even Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, who's the wisest man of all time, even he was able to grasp almost every commandment. But then when he got to the commandment of Para Aduma, the burning of the red heifer for the purification, he couldn't grasp it. It didn't make sense to him. And then when he realized that this commandment is beyond his grasp, he realized that actually even the commandments that he thought he grasped, he only grasped a little bit of them. It is all beyond logic. Because at the end of the day, we can't understand why doing certain physical activities bring down the divine light. It's just made that way, that this is the blueprint in which God created reality. It is not natural for putting on tefillin and wrapping Bible verses on your arm to cause infinite godly light to radiate throughout the world. It wouldn't make sense on its own. But because God desires the world to function that way, it happens. And it's a miraculous reality that we have the ability to affect the world with our actions spiritually. Naturally, it doesn't make sense. God created the world with a certain amount of divine light. How can the created beings channel down more divine light? That is only possible because God made it so. Hashem made it that way. The Rebbe explains this very interesting concept that we see that the Jewish people, when it came, because Antiochus, the Greeks, they were not trying to physically kill the Jewish people, like Haman. Haman wanted to exterminate, God forbid, the Jewish people. Antiochus didn't want to kill the Jewish people, but he wanted to separate them from Hashem, which actually we learn is even worse. Why? Because he was trying to physically kill them, not kill their bodies, kill their souls. You get a Jew to stop keeping Shabbos, you convince a Jew to marry a non-Jewish person, you convince a Jewish person to eat unkosher, you are uprooting them from their soul, which is worse than killing them. That is what Antiochus wanted to do. And what did the Jewish people do? They did not compromise. We did not compromise. The Rebbe explains this is a lesson for us when it comes to the education of our children, when it comes to our observance of Hashem's laws. We do not compromise, not even the slightest bit. We will carry on forever in the ways of Hashem. Also, of course, we can't help but explain that, can't help but get into the reality of the fact that we have no choice, that Hanukkah is the holiday of light, about spreading the light, because of the miracles of candles. We learned that our soul is related to the flame. Why? Because our soul, a flame, has a very interesting nature. The flame always tries to rise higher and higher. It will try to rise even to the point where sometimes it will rise above its source, rise above the wick and lose existence because of it trying to rise above. So too, that is like the relationship between the Jewish person and Hashem. If we are set in a situation where we have to choose between our own lives, giving up our lives or going against Hashem's Torah, we will give up our lives for Hashem and we'll give in to the will of Hashem. We'll give up our lives to serve God. Just like the candle that will go up and lose life and lose existence just to return to its source, so too we will give up our lives if we're put in the situation where we have to choose between our lives or Hashem's Torah. And there's also a deeper connection to light and this holiday. Interesting thing about light is that Hashem made the nature of the world and all of reality that when light and darkness cannot exist in the same space. And immediately when you allow light to come into the picture, automatically and immediately the darkness flees. It's not the same with darkness. Light is the one running the show, meaning the darkness can't even put up a fight with the light. The darkness can't struggle with the light, but automatically when you turn on the light, the darkness is gone. So too, and how much more so, we have to recognize that this exists in our own spiritual reality. The second we bring in Hashem's light into our lives, immediately all the darkness around us flees, and all it takes is a tiny bit of light. There's another interesting fact about light that relates to our service of Hashem, is that light expands. Is a very interesting phenomenon that light, fire so to speak, a flame, a candle, the more it gives, the bigger it becomes. Let's say if you have a glass of water, the more you pour, the more you lose the water. The less water you have in that cup. But a flame, the more you give, actually the more the fire itself expands. And that is a lesson for us in our service of Hashem and our relationship with our fellows. The more we give, really the more we receive. And one little act of kindness, one little good deed that we push ourselves to do in Hashem's mission will have an expansion effect, an everlasting expanding effect on the entire world. So we have to recognize that each of our mitzvahs are like an ignition and a fire. And the more fire we bring into the picture, the more of an exponential effect it will have on all of reality. And really, this is a holiday about joy, a holiday about simcha. And this holiday is actually a little glimpse into the days of Mashiach, because we know that when the Mashiach arrives, we will again have the third Beis Hamikdash, the third temple, the final temple. And the Mashiach will bring in Jerusalem, will bring us into a reality where we will have the third temple revealed. And there's two opinions on how it will be revealed. Some say the third temple will be built by man, and other opinions say it will be built by heaven and will be brought down into the world. Either way, let us find out today, Bezlat Hashem. Let's see it today. And this reality will be like in the days of Hanukkah, where we have the Menorah again. We experience a tremendous divine revelation. Because what the temple, as we've explained on many occasions, there is the Holy of Holies, the Shekhinah. The divine presence radiates throughout the temple and from there into the entire world. The temple, the Beis Hamikdash, Jerusalem, is the intermediary between heaven and earth. It is the place where Hashem's presence is most strongly revealed in the entire world. And the whole world experiences their godly revelation through Jerusalem. So we know that the Mashiach will bring us to the reality where we will experience the greatest possible revelations of God, the greatest pleasure. And a way that we do this, a way that we expand. How do we ignite? How do we electrify our service of Hashem and take it to the next level? The answer is we do it besimcha, with joy. When we serve God, it is tremendous. But when we serve God with joy, it is beyond infinitely greater, because it allows our service to be with much greater quality and intensity, and it allows us to cause Hashem a lot of pleasure. Because when we're happy to serve Hashem, we're showing Hashem that not only are we on par with His mission, but we're happy to be on par with His mission. We're totally given over to Him. And that causes Hashem a great pleasure. And the Rebbe Rashab explains that one of the deepest levels of experiencing godly pleasure in your life is to be happy to cause Hashem pleasure. And when you do a mitzvah, you're causing Hashem the utmost pleasure. So let us all be besimcha and get excited to greet Mashiach and to experience the greatest possible divine revelations in the days of Mashiach that will even be infinitely beyond those of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah. May this Hanukkah, and even before Hanukkah, may we enter the days of Mashiach. And I'm very happy to share this video with you. May Hashem bless you all in everything you do. Keep up the incredible work. You can also support the Torah channel. The link on my page, on my channel page description. And you can also please like, comment, and subscribe to help spread this message. May Hashem bless you all. Keep up the amazing work.